Welcome to Wednesday, the second day of October 2024. As we embark on the middle part of the week here, we're going to continue to talk about generally warm, dry conditions. Today, winds will be picking up, especially in the northern areas along and east of the divide. But we did see a little bit of fall, as evidenced by Barry's bird bath in East Cheyenne yesterday morning, as temperatures did dip in some areas into the 20s and 30s. It wasn't widespread, but first really taste of anything close to freezing in many areas, but it took till October to get there. We'll continue to have extreme fire danger. This is going to be a concern every day for a couple more weeks, I'm afraid to say. We will be a little cooler Thursday as temperatures are going to fluctuate. Temperatures are going to be bouncing around a little bit as frontal systems will be going across western Canada. And as these systems approach, it gets warm and windy. As they pass, it gets a touch cooler and less windy, and we'll kind of go back and forth through the rest of the week and the weekend with that pattern. So it's just weak fronts, warmer than average and dry through next week. Nothing's changed. We still see changes mid-month. We'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly. Here's another shot of a little bit of ice on the grassy areas with a little irrigation going on at the same time. Also, boy, we have had some really spectacular sunrises and sunsets here over the last several days. The combination of blue sky, a little bit of wildfire smoke, and the lower angle now that's happening in the mornings and the evenings, really lighting up the sky like what we're seeing there in the Tetons. And up in the Cody area last night, got several photos in from folks who saw this cloud. Beautiful shot of a lenticular cloud there with Heart Mountain in the background. Thanks, Tim, for sending that. Boy, when you have this lower sun angle this time of year, you can really get a lot of detail, especially in that lenticular cloud right there. These lenticular clouds start to come back this time of year because the winds aloft, as you'll see in a minute, get stronger. The stronger winds aloft, especially when they come at an angle near 90 degrees or so to the mountain ranges, you get a little wave that forms on the lee side of the mountains, and that wave, as it rises, may cool and condense into a cloud, and then you get this lenticular shape. And as we get into the fall and winter season and into early spring, it's a sign that winds aloft are increasing. And that's one reason why it's going to be a bit windy today. So there's the same cloud from a slightly different perspective. And a beautiful sunset in the Lovell area at the sugar factory there. Also, with all these clear skies at night, if you're into really deep space observations, like Jan took this beautiful shot here over the past week of Andromeda, or M31. This is a good time of year also for folks with telescopes. And speaking of telescopes and sky watching, heads up, we had a big solar flare yesterday. In fact, it's the second strongest one of this solar cycle so far. It was a 7.1, causing radio blackouts over the Pacific. So what this means, so you aurora watchers out there, we may very well have a geomagnetic storm arriving on October 5th. So aurora watchers, get ready. You may have another opportunity for the aurora borealis here as we get to the end of the week. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Weather-wise, again, showing you a satellite image with almost nothing in it, at least in our neighborhood. You see this cloudiness right here? This is associated with the stronger jet stream winds that are now coming into the northern part of the lower 48 states. This is something that you just see this time of year. Winds aloft get stronger at the higher latitudes. The jet stream is strengthening. And with it overhead, like what we're seeing right here with this tight gradient today, we have strong winds aloft. And you can see here 300 millibars, or roughly 30,000 feet. You've got a very strong tailwind if you're flying from Seattle to Montreal, let's say. But these strong winds are at a near 90-degree angle to the Continental Divide, so you're going to end up with this. It's going to be a windy day. Along the I-80 corridor, on the lee side of the mountains here, up into Montana, you're going to have some pretty brisk and stout and gusty winds today. So that will lead to very high fire, critical fire dangers again today across the region, with the warmth, the low humidity, and the wind. So with those winds aloft getting stronger, we just are going to have more opportunities for wind, I'm afraid to say. By Saturday, here comes another wave. It's going to come right along the U.S.-Canadian border. Nothing different. The parent low causing these little smaller systems to get broken off from it and come through. But as we've been talking all week, this semi-permanent low in this region keeps us generally under high pressure, and that'll be the case. This is the precipitation forecast through the weekend. So even a lot of the U.S., there's really not much going on. It's continued wet down here along the Gulf Coast, but a lot of the nation really not seeing much weather of it at all between now and the Sunday time frame. Now, going out to 10 days, we still see the parent low up here spitting out these little waves. So this wave we'll keep an eye on. This is not until the weekend after this one, the weekend of the 12th and the 13th. We might see this wave come and it might split and we might end up with a low down here over the Four Corners area. We'll see. But this is still not the configuration we want through 10 days. But let's go out to about 15 days or so. An interesting kind of a setup developing. I'm going to show you a couple of things, and we're going to talk about artificial intelligence in tomorrow's podcast because I'm going to show you an AI version of the European model for the same time period. So this is the European model that goes out to next Wednesday, Thursday, around the 16th and 17th. What's interesting here is we have the low up here in the Aleutians, but it's a little further west. And notice we're starting to see a high wanting to build along the west coast. And so if you follow these lines here, notice winds aloft are coming in, well, right in from the Northwest Territories. This would open the door to much colder air into the lower 48. Strong Hudson Bay low, the counterclockwise spin. If this develops, this is going to start to really change the dynamic of things. That's why we keep saying it's going to be 2 weeks. So as we go and we look out, we see things getting a little bit different. However, let's take this same model, but apply artificial intelligence to it. And again, we'll talk a bit more about tomorrow how that all works. But for the same period, but changing things up a little bit, we have a bit of a different configuration. What it's showing is a stronger high a little further west, but the result is going to be the same in the sense that this high pressure ridge building is going to allow this coming in and eventually northwest winds and colder weather. So either solution signals a change around that 16th and 17th time frame, but the configuration at 500 millibars is, well, there's a big difference there, a lot of difference. So when you look at the standard model, then add artificial intelligence, which does include some historical perspective on things, it's a little bit different. So that'll be something more to talk about tomorrow. Have yourself a good Wednesday.